like to remind all fans that the American Athletic Conference and the University of South Florida encourages and promotes good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, racial, or ethnic comments, or other intimidating actions directed at officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and are grounds for removal from the site of competition. Thank you. Today's semifinals game features the number 3 seed with an overall record of 10 wins, 6 losses, and 1 tie, 6-3 in league play, the Knights from UCF, versus the number 2 seed with an overall record of 15 wins, 3 losses, 7-2 in league play, the Tigers from the University of Memphis.
We welcome you on a rainy Friday for the semifinals here in Tampa. Our first matchup as the Knights of UCF, your number 3 seed, collide with the Tigers of Memphis, the number 2 seed. Tigers have had the week off. They've been back in the hotel scouting out their opposition. Didn't know until they reached town whom they would be meeting here in the semifinals as they had the first round bye. Meanwhile, UCF took care of business against Temple, the 6th seed, a goal in the opening half with a couple in the second. We'll pause here for the national anthem. When we come back, opening kick. We welcome you in on the American Digital Network. Slight delay after a tornado warning in the area. Everybody's safe. Just, again, slightly damper conditions as you'll likely see those white kits turn to a off shade of brown by the end of 90 minutes or more. Lincoln Rose, Matt Stubbington, and don't worry, the 2 announcers staying dry for now. Matt, of course, you take a look at this matchup. Kristen Scott was brilliant the other night with the brace.
She did a fantastic job against Temple, really stepped up to the plate, scored a goal that we weren't sure went in off of a corner kick, but the second one was definitely in, and then a heads-up play from the young lady, finding an assist on the 3rd goal for UCF.
For good measure, Stephanie Sanders would put the icing on the cake, make it 3-0 against Temple as they would advance. Across the way for the Tigers, you're talking about one of the stingiest goalkeepers, not just in the American, but in America. 11 shutouts this year for Elizabeth Moberg.
She's a wonderful goalkeeper, has good range, plays the position so well. Talk about the geometry all the time. It's so important for goalkeepers to understand the positioning in net. And she had the 5 saves against UCF last time out. These 2 teams met, and should be a key component of the defense for Memphis today.
The sophomore in this defense in front of her only allows 7 shots per match. That's not 7 shots on frame. That is 7 shots per match. And we have two of the top goalkeepers. I think it's hard to argue otherwise in the conference colliding here. Something has to give as Vera Varis in frame for the Knights, your goalkeeper of the year for the past 2 years, for Tiffany Roberts, the Haydack squad, against the Tigers with Moberg in frame. Tigers come in with that number 16 RPI coming into this week. They really like their chances going into the NCAA tournament, really probably regardless of how this week plays out. But this is the farthest they've ever gone. They would like to punch their ticket at the expense of these Knights into their first ever championship final.
Oh, they're on a great run of form, won 3 of the 3 games to close out the season, so the confidence is high in Memphis, and they'll want to make sure that they keep that confidence going, the good performances going in tough conditions this afternoon. If they can find a way to win this game against the Knights, that will really boost that confidence going forwards.
4 teams remain in the field. We'll see USF make its debut this week here on their home pitch later on tonight against ECU, who prevailed in the shootout. You see Brooks Monahan, the former member of the men's program back in his playing days as a Memphis Tiger, now 19 years as head coach of this women's program, and what a stamp he has made on this bunch.
He's a fantastic coach, very experienced, and has the loyalty to the program, to the school, and so he's been a real component of what the success has been in Memphis.
Brooks, you see some of his accolades. He is your all-time winningest goalkeeper in the history of the men's program. He brings in 14 Canadians to help fill up this roster. A lot of talent for the 1994 graduate of Memphis. You see the rain still coming down, but this is nothing compared to what we had earlier. If you go on Twitter, you'll see the conference had tweeted out the, I don't want to say monsoon, but it was, if it had been raining cats and dogs, those probably would have been from the circus, which is just down the road tonight here on campus.
If it had been raining cats and dogs, they would have been blowing across the pitch from our left to our right. And there was a strong wind that blew through the campus of USF this afternoon. And it started just shortly after I arrived in tornado watches. And it was a little bit of a concern as I sat in my car waiting for the rain to subside just a little bit so I could make my way up to the broadcast booth.
So both teams set to go. They were held up in the locker rooms a little bit longer than they had hoped for. UCF, of course, after their win the other night, they didn't stay in the hotel. They were able to just go back home up Interstate 4, take in some classes. They are back here against Memphis as both these teams were in the regular season title hunt right up until the final match of the year. In fact, UCF, they dropped that conclusion here at USF, made Memphis's efforts moot against Tulsa when they beat Tulsa on the final day 6-1. But of course, UCF made it all the way to the final last year when they hosted in Orlando, would fall in that shootout to the Bulls. They're hoping to return the favor if they can get back into Sunday's championship this year as the 3 seed. And we're no stranger to seeing success from the 3 seed. We've seen the 3 seed reach that final as often as we've seen the top seed. It's the number 2 seed that has had some struggles in recent years. Only the Bulls of USF have been able to reach that final as the 2 seed. Memphis trying to rewrite their own history and make their first American Athletic Conference Championship final appearance. So again, the rain continues, but playable conditions. We'll point out there was a men's match. USF men defeated the Memphis men earlier today, a noon start time. So there's already been one match on this field. Those were dry conditions, but it'll be interesting by the end of this evening how well this field holds up. It's done quite well so far managing all the water.
Well, it's managed the water well. It's a beautiful facility here. The field looks great. A little bit cut up from the cleats of both teams during warm-up, but it's not going to affect the run of the ball at all. Although the conditions with the water just on the surface a little bit, well, the dampness of the grass will cause the ball to skip a little bit off the surface. These both sets of players will have to adapt to the different bounce of the ball.
So, of course, both Memphis and UCF away from their campuses for this meeting here in Tampa. They met in Memphis earlier this year. UCF and USF would hand them their 2 losses in conference play. Of course, they're travel partners, so that all came on the same weekend in Memphis. Tigers were probably still a little fatigued from their Texas road swing. As you see, retreating one of the Levasseur twins playing in their final campaign. And our first look at Vera Varis, your 2-time now goalkeeper of the year out of Finland.
So it's actually an offside flag has gone up against Levasseur. But that was good play between Plummer and Levasseur. Both players trying to find a way either to win the corner kick for Memphis or the goal kick for UCF, and just clever interchange of little knocking the ball backwards and forwards, and Plummer actually came out on top, although the flag from the official on the far sideline had negated all of that little special play.
Well, it's going to be a great matchup anytime you have Plummer, the Jamaican, on that back line for the Knights, back from her stint with the Reggae Girls, the first Caribbean nation to advance to the Women's World Cup. And a quick touch pass through the center circle, looking to dial up Boychuk. And they'll keep this opportunity alive. Be a little tougher sledding up into that offensive third, but right now Tigers trying to send one into the 18. They'll have to settle for a toss. This is a Memphis team that has performed quite well away from home. They are outscoring their opponents in away/neutral matches 23-2 this year, as 11 of their 13 goals conceded have been back in Memphis. There's something about a business mentality. UCF was perfect in conference play until that finale loss here in Tampa on the road.
Just watching the way that Memphis are lined up defensively, and they have 3 defenders primarily, but they're sending the outside backs forwards, which is negating the width that UCF is trying to create with Scott and Orshman. There's 2 central defenders of Hudson Marks and Gauthier are going to really give Sanders a lot to think about this afternoon.
Of course, Olivia Gauthier, your midfielder of the year this year in the American. What a career the senior out of New Brunswick has had. Along the back line, Sanders, she had that final goal the other night. Stephanie Sanders, one of the more prolific scorers in this conference, found number 13 in that victory. Chipped into the 18, and Varis will squeeze it in with those gloves.
Quick counterattack. Memphis just thinking about going forwards quickly whenever they get the ball. I like that mentality. Boychuk on that far sideline getting the crossover. And she hurdles the challenge from UCF. Beautiful balance from number 12.
Well, we will see. There's always 2 sides of the coin when you talk about a bye in a tournament. The other team, of course, is obviously coming off a successful outing 48 hours ago. Will that rhythm help them continue into today? Talking about UCF, will Memphis show rust? Or by the end of this match, if it is tight, will Memphis have the fresher legs helping them into the championship on Sunday? Looking for Sanders, one of the 2 sophomores from Germany.
I don't think UCF really expanded a whole lot of energy in their last match, winning 3-0 against Temple.
They found that goal in the opening half, but almost essentially putting it away early in the start of the second half.
Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak was able to rotate a number of players through that game.
They're going to bring the ball all the way up to about 35, 40 yards down. There is the former standout for the red, white, and blue. Even helped win it all back when she was a teenager.
So experienced as a player, and has just brought that experience and knowledge to her position as head coach, and is developing a wonderful program in Orlando.
They'll keep it low, top of the 18, headed right back out by Memphis. Of course, Coach Robert Sahadak, assisted by Associate Head Coach Tim Sahadak, one of the 2 talented husband-wife combos, in addition to the one here at Tampa with the Browns. We'll see them later on tonight. Tigers looking for the early advantage, looking for a crack in that back line, and finally it'll be successfully tapped back by Carrie Lawrence, second-team All-Conference for UCF this year.
You see Lawrence a little bit nervous as that ball comes across. She knew that Levasseur was lurking behind Lawrence. An initial missed touch, but then Lawrence was able to corral the ball back at the second time of asking and get it to the goalkeeper, Veras.
Sanders will lay this one out. She had the game winner in Memphis that opened up the scoring. As they were trying to set it up, if any mistake had been made there by Moberg, Sanders was there to pounce on it. But, of course, no such mistake by the veteran keeper, just a sophomore, but so much experience and success already.
The way Moberg handled that was really nicely done. That ball skipped right in front of the goalkeeper. She gets her hands down, makes the barrier, bends the knees a little bit and just absorbs the pressure of the ball coming into towards a great technique by the keeper.
Plummer. Again, really fun to watch Kanya Plummer play, especially when she's matched up with world-class talent on the other side.
She has a good partnership with Maura Amen in the back as well. Those two have been a really good pairing for UCF this season.
Wrapping up with the 7th minute here in Tampa. A delayed start, but finally underway between the Knights, your 3 seed, the Tigers, the 2 seed. And for the first time, may have seen a player lose the footing there as Boychuk went down, the freshman from Alberta. Through some traffic, and that'll be a foul. No, they'll say continue. I thought they were going to play an advantage for a moment. That obviously ceased.
A little confusing from our standpoint as far as the referee signal is concerned. Casio Ribeiro, the gentleman in charge with the whistle, but it looked like he was indicating a foul with everything but the blow of the whistle.
Trying to link up the Knights there with Kristen Scott, who had the brace, including the game winner, the freshman, against Temple the other night. So Sanders and Lawrence produced your goals in that meeting between UCF and Memphis. A 2-0 blanking. Of course, Memphis would then turn around and have to face USF on that Sunday with a similar result going the way of the Bulls. That would force these Tigers to play catch-up the rest of the way, but they would wind up climbing back to the number 2 seed, again with the valuable bye in that first round, getting Wednesday off.
I really like the way Memphis is setting up tactically right now. They're sending those outside backs forwards, putting pressure on so that Scott and Orshman have to come back defensively. As Malin and Lisi on this near sideline go forwards. And essentially what Brooks Monahan's team is doing is forcing UCF to go from a 4-3-3 into a 4-5-1 lineup defensively. And that just allows Memphis to put pressure further up the pitch. Haven't connected with any passes really in the attacking third as yet, but they are creating the width that's stretching out UCF, and it's something that tactically Tiffany Roberts-Sahadak will want to master as this game progresses.
Well, neither side concedes many first-half goals, but the Tigers certainly have had some opportunities. Lawrence now trying to send Sanders ahead. Down the middle. Orshman. Knights starting to flood the top of the 18. Trying to find a crack in the back line. It will go wide, but it will be a corner kick for UCF. First big set piece coming up for the number 3 seed.
It'll be Lawrence to take it. She delivered a wonderful ball all that night long against Temple. So it's a great set piece in.
Led to that first goal against Temple the other night. Some nice passing after her delivery. Set up the header at the time. That would prove to be the game winner from Kristen Scott. About 12 yards up. Knights are on it. Left-footed delivery from the German will go wide, untouched.
Again, it's just a great ball played in from Lawrence. It's a driven cross. So difficult to defend. Maybe a little bit further out than she would have wanted, but it's always between the 6 and the 12, the penalty spot. It just allows UCF to organize the runs consistently on every set piece.
Moberg, through 18 matches, has only conceded 13 goals. But really the best number is she's only needed 40 saves throughout the entirety of this season. Really speaks well to how she communicates with her back line. Levasseur out on the wing. She'll be challenged by Plummer. Again, that's Marie Levasseur, first team all-conference up top as the forward.
Good switch off there between the right fullback and the central defender Plummer and Lawrence. See Marie Levasseur just trying to challenge Plummer. Finds the support. Lawrence is able to come back, put the ball out for the throw-in.
Here's your hero from the other night, Kristen Scott, all-rookie team in the American. They'll try to chip one in, see how this ball will handle on the wet turf. Tigers still have numbers back. Sanders being thwarted at the moment by Chanel Hudson-Marks. Marks, the senior out of Ontario. He's actually a cousin of Usain Bolt, who's dabbling in some football of his own overseas.
Every now and again, you just hear him signing on with somebody somewhere. It would be interesting to see whether he was able to make his mark felt at some level. Not sure the football pitch is long enough for him to take full advantage of his speed.
Tigers on the wing. Send one through. It gets around Plummer. Open shot. Levasseur struggled to settle it. That bought Ferris some time. Another shot from Levasseur, who, again, that first touch just could not send a shot towards the way of your goalkeeper of the year. And when Vera Varas had a chance to collect herself, able to come up with the only save she needed.
That was a great adjustment from the goalkeeper. Just took that extra touch right there as the ball went away from Levasseur. And the goalkeeper really didn't have to move, just going to turf, making sure that the ball didn't go through the legs. And Marie Levasseur will rue that miss. That was a gilt-edged opportunity right at the top of the six.
But they are not empty-handed. They do get this corner kick with Lisi. 3 assists on the year. Again, it will slip through, but the Knights will escort it up towards midfield.
See Lawrence serving a good ball for UCF. That one from Lisi was pretty special.
Levasseur this time looking to distribute. Over the head of Elizabeth Warner. Warner, 4 goals this year. Won't find number 5 just yet. But the Tigers certainly have had the better opportunities so far. Midway here in the 14th minute. Back to Levasseur, no longer matched up with Plummer. Instead, they throw Lawrence at her. And unable to win a corner, simply a goal kick for UCF.
It's going to be a frustrating night for the central midfield players for UCF. Memphis had got the game plan to just bypass the midfield, get it up to the front 3 or 4 players that they have, stretch the field wide, force the issue, try and isolate the outside defenders for UCF 1v1 and either win a corner kick or get the service in across.
Vera only needed 3 saves to maintain that clean sheet the other night against Temple.
I don't think any of them really troubled the goalkeeper for UCF either.
She's going to be able to corral this one just inside the 18. Couple of shots apiece here early on. Lone shot on frame came from Levasseur. And more often than not, when we talk about a shot from Levasseur, talking about Marie, of course, her twin, fellow senior on this squad out of Quebec City, Catherine. One of 2 sets of twins on this Tigers roster this year. She'll try again. Plummer can't keep her outside the 18. But enough there to pick up the slack for the Knights' back line.
Experienced defending there from Amen. She knew where she needed to be for the cutback pass. Marie Levasseur getting the better of Plummer. It's not often you say that about anybody getting the better of Plummer. That was a good pullback from Marie Levasseur. Amen just knew exactly where she needed to be for the intercepted pass.
Knights have only conceded 7 first-half goals this year. Tigers even stingier, just allowing 5 thus far. I mentioned both teams have played extremely well away from home. Well, as well as these 2 teams have performed this year, only one will be able to advance to the championship final on Sunday. And that one will be just a tad heavy for Scott to run on. Moberg more than happy to corral it.
Washman started that for UCF, checking back to the ball. I'd like to see her release the ball a little bit more quickly. Took 3 or 4 touches before the pass was made to one of the supporting midfielders. As Washman comes back, as good as she is, she should be able to make that decision a little bit more quickly. Perhaps the communication with the central midfielders needs to be a little better. Chung and Mernin and Quaxer need to make sure that they're in the right position to receive those drop balls.
UCF has not been able to spend much time on the Tigers' half. Every now and then sending a ball the way of Moberg. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, when they have the ball, you never know where the attack's coming from. They have 13 different goal scorers this year. Boychuk. Plummer with some space. She'll bring it up ahead. And over the top, and a short-lived opportunity. You see Moberg there with the wet ball. A brief struggle.
Those long diagonal balls, UCF have a lot of success with those. And with the wet surface, that ball from Plummer just skipped a little bit. Surprised Moberg. Had to adjust.
Levasseur will swing it out one. Dials up Warner. Sanders just waiting to pounce, matched up with that back line right now. But no miscue from the Tigers. Point out the Memphis men's team again played that noon matchup. You may every now and then see some blue rain hoods at the bottom of your screen. They have stuck around to cheer on their women. Also among the supporters for the Tigers women, Penny Hardaway, the men's basketball coach, helped send them off, along with some of the cheer squad yesterday. It's been a great year, both programs as a whole, especially the women. Here's the number 2 seed. We still don't know how the men's standings will shake out. By the end of tonight, we'll know the host of the championship next week. Right now, your early favorites, Orlando and Dallas, with UCF and SMU. Of course, tiebreaker would belong to the UCF men, who came up just short in overtime in Dallas last year at the tournament.
A couple of chances for UCF to get the ball going forwards if the players were able to turn the ball. They're a little reticent to go through that process of turning the body through 180 degrees, playing the game safely. It's good to keep possession, but it doesn't get you forwards very quickly.
Quaxer to Sanders. Sanders, a little one-on-one battle for the ball, and right now holding her off well is Hudson Marks.
Good strength there from Hudson Marks. Sanders is no slouch. Marks was just able to go shoulder to shoulder. There's the initial challenge, just enough to throw Sanders off of it. Then Hudson Marks does really well to concede only a throw-in. Although now it will be Lawrence dropping for.
Yeah, Lawrence will jog out to that corner for the corner kick. Yeah, Hudson Marks, the senior, able to hold her own there against the talented sophomore, Sanders, who has 2 hat tricks this year. Sanders will be a target on the back post on this set piece. Lawrence, the senior out of Orlando, a couple of assists this year. This will bend towards the top of the 18. Levasseur will send one that Plummer will try to track down. Both teams so well disciplined. Again, led, anchored by your top 2 goalkeepers in the American. Sanders. She would have 3 Tigers that she would need to dribble past. Once again, cannot get past Hudson Marks. Over the top. Chance for Memphis. Laracy.
What a fantastic save from Veres. That ball skipped off of the surface. That's why Laracy was able to get behind the back line of UCF. The goalkeeper was out strong and quickly. Made a wonderful save and forced the issue wide. Laracy couldn't get the second bite.
And Tigers not going away easily. Lacey just wanted it more. Out to Levasseur. Eyes into the 18. That one will just drift a tad long. Oh, somehow just sensing the presence behind her there. Quaxa, the other talented Finnish player. UCF's had great success in Finland. Of course, this talented goalkeeper. The men's side with Puzla. It looks like the Knights will be the first to tap into their bench. Again, coming off that victory, 3-0 2 nights ago. As the first entry at the next stoppage in time will be Zandy Saray. Really has been battling an ankle injury that has kept her out some down the stretch. Midway through the opening half, still scoreless here in Tampa.
Saray is back and healthy. She's a wonderful addition to the lineup.
Moberg's second team all-conference as the goalkeeper. Of course, denying her the Goalkeeper of the Year honors, the woman across the pitch, Vera Varas. And Varas is the intended target here for this Tigers offense, trying to send one across her threshold. Catherine Levasseur. And just tries to slip one in, but cannot link up with Laracy. So Kristen Scott, the freshman who had the brace on Wednesday against Temple, will come out for her first breather. Zandy Saray in her place. And what a luxury to have off the bench. 6 goals this year, half of them game winners. As not backing down against Plummer. Laracy holding her own.
See the appreciation from the bench there. Good physical challenge from Marie Levasseur. Or Laracy, sorry, I should say.
And these Tigers are not intimidated by the 2 Germans there on the right side. Ranging back, Gauthier, your Defensive Player of the Year in the American this year.
Looks like Mernin has come up top to the right flank after Scott exited. Saw how he goes to the midfield.
Can the Knights put together some opportunities? Total of shots has been modest from both sides so far. But the only 2 shots on frame have come from Memphis, and that will continue to be the case after UCF goes back empty-handed once again.
The saves from Veres have been good ones. She hasn't had to move a whole heck of a lot, but she has had to make sure her positioning is good. It has been intimidating when the Memphis players shooting at her have looked up. All they've seen is that light blue uniform filling the net. Makes it so difficult to put the ball past her.
Boychuk able to work it up ahead to Warner. Warner with 2 Tigers to play with. Lawrence will intercept it.
Wonderful confidence on the back line. Lawrence with a little touch out to Quaxa. Quaxa tried to get it back to Lawrence, but knowing that if Lawrence wasn't going to get that, one of the best goalkeepers in the conference with her feet Veris was there to distribute the ball.
Hudson Marks showing off her skills with the boots. There is so much talent on this pitch right now. All conference at so many positions. Such wonderful matchups on this evening in our first of two semifinals today.
So far, the game has not let us down in any way, shape, or form. Good battles all over the pitch, but it's Memphis that are getting to the majority of the 50-50 balls and seem a step quicker than the Knights right now.
Orshman able to turn. Her countrymate ahead of her. Looking for Lawrence. Steps over the fallen Levasseur. UCF just methodically moving this up the pitch now. Plummer looks at her options. Orshman, the sophomore, on the wing. It'll simply be a toss for the number 3 seed Knights. And pardon me, Mernon there.
UCF just haven't found a way to get any consistent possession in their attacking half, let alone the attacking third. Yet another strong tackle from a defender. This time again, it's Plummer.
28 minutes in, still no difference maker between UCF and Memphis.
Nice communication there between Coach Monahan and Mr. Ribeiro, the referee, indicating that it was a throw-in, and Monahan appreciating the strong challenge from Plummer.
An offside flag will go up. And finally, it's noticed by our referee as this ball back over to UCF.
Just notice the referees don't have their headsets on. Lightning storm before the game, put paid to that.
Yeah, some electrical issues with that storm that came prior to this evening's first semifinal. Tigers, all numbers forward. Corner kick coming up for Memphis. Amon was denying the entry feed, but it'll go off the senior.
Yeah, it's just good, strong defending. Both sets of players. It's UCF on their heels, having to make those challenges in and around their penalty area, in and around their attacking third, defending third, I should say.
Left-footed delivery. Top of the 6, Plummer on it first, but haven't cleared yet. Ball bouncing around, and finally Vera Varis will squeeze it in. And a huge aw shucks moment there for the entire Memphis bench. They are ready to erupt.
Ball just seemed to bounce around the 6.
A lot of traffic around that 6-yard box.
It's one of those horrible moments as a goalkeeper. Goal mouth scramble. And it may have been that Werner was offside as that ball came in. As Veris restarts play, and Amen was a little hobbled, but she seems to be okay. She's now jogging forwards towards the halfway line. Substitutes come in for both teams.
We'll see Elise LeGroux make her first appearance tonight along with Jessica Taylor. A homecoming for Taylor from right here in Tampa, the 4th-year junior. LeGroux's from a bit farther away, the freshman from France. Knights still looking for their first shot on frame. Their goalkeeper, Vera Varis, has come through with all 3 saves that have been asked of her so far. Over a half hour complete in our first semifinal of the night. Of course, USF and ECU on the horizon. That start slightly pushed back from the original 7 o'clock start time. It'll be about a half hour upon the conclusion of this one. Levasseur patiently waits for that ball to find her. Around Lawrence, back post. And the Knights make sure she's not able to connect with a fellow Tiger.
Great clearance there from Tipton, the fullback for the Knights.
On the wing. Still on the ball. From 25. And no need for Vera Varas to get a hand on that one. A tad tall and ultimately simply a goal kick.
Mallon there with the shot from distance. Challenging the goalkeeper. Harris was interested. Relieved that it goes over the crossbar.
Stacia was looking for her second goal of this campaign.
I think UCF just a little playing into the hands of Memphis by forcing the issue, trying to get the ball forwards more quickly. The back line, understandably, are unwilling to have the ball in their defensive half for longer than they want to or need to. But I think if UCF can get a little more passings along the back line and into the midfield, that'll invite Memphis further forwards, and then they can break the pressure.
Moberg will deny the feed in.
Essentially, if UCF can play the ball out of the back a little bit more and a little bit more patience before they play the ball forwards, Memphis will be pushed forwards, and that will give space for Orshman, Sanders, and Mernin up top to receive the passes and have less players to try and beat.
Will either club be able to find the opening goal before halftime? Two very well-matched squads here in their second meeting this year. Plummer. Past two Tigers, now a third. Kanya Plummer. And in the end, I don't know what happened on the final touch, but she probably could have kept running.
Looking for the through run. It wasn't forthcoming. Perhaps the heady heights of the attacking third were a little bit too much for the central defender. But she looked like she could have kept going and dribbled that one all the way into the goal.
Now she's all the way back on her heels on that back line. Able to pick herself back up again there. You see Dina Orshman, second team all-conference.
Huge collision between the two players. Didn't seem the worse for wear.
With Lisa Pechersky of Memphis out of Toronto. See what Memphis can come up with here. Pretty good estimate there. 10 yards out for Jessica Taylor and the Knights. Chipped in around the 12, punched out by your goalkeeper of the year.
That's wonderful communication there from Veres. The back line gets out of her way. I'm a little surprised that Veres made the choice to punch that ball. It was a good clearing punch, but with the way she communicated with the defense and the way her positioning was, it looked like she had a good, clean run at catching that.
Another marquee matchup in this corner, and Levasseur will win another corner kick. Third of the match here in this opening half for the Tigers. "36th minute concluding here. Lincoln Rose, Matt Stubbington with you here on the American Digital Network. And again, no surprise for the Tigers in that corner. It'll be Lisi. One of your 14 Canadians for Brooks Monahan on this Memphis roster. And that ball would never settle down.
Seeing Lacey just trying to curl that ball in. Too much purchase on the effort with the right peg. Needs to get that right toe up in the big toe up in the air a little bit more. Curl it over the top of the ball. Put the spin on to dip that ball into the near post area, but just scooped at it a little bit. Goes all the way across the far sideline.
Right now, Elizabeth Moberg out of your shot, obviously. Goalkeeper for Tigers, just staying at the top of the 18-yard line. Trying to be within communication distance. Looking on. Levasseur sends one in, but no mistake by that back line for the Knights. Hoping for a counter opportunity, but the Tigers will slow that down. Through the back with Gauthier. And what a talented back line for the Tigers this year. Anchored by Gauthier in front of the goalkeeper, Moberg. But we've already seen significant play from Chanel Hudson-Marks today.
Well, you have the good quality play at central back, as Memphis have. Then you have the wherewithal then to send your outside defenders forwards, and anytime you can do that, you're overloading your opposition.
Warner. And the Tigers will have to settle for a throw inside the final 7 minutes of this opening half. See Samantha Murphy, who's come off the bench, the sophomore for the Tigers here in this opening half. And now the Tigers with a fourth corner kick opportunity here in the opening 45.
It's very simple for Memphis. Try and get players isolated on the wings, get the head down, attack the outside positions in the attacking third, either get a goal-scoring opportunity from the serve or one from a set piece.
Dolan delivers, top of the six. Knights with the first head on it. And nothing behind the offering from Lisi. Just couldn't get her footing. And this will likely cross the finish line and simply be a goal kick. Mentioned there's been some traffic in both of these goal boxes earlier today with the men's match. Those could be some interesting conditions for Styles of ECU later on tonight, as well as, of course, your netminder for USF. Midway through the 40th minute, our first of two semifinals tonight in Tampa. Lawrence looking at her options, including Plummer. Plummer takes a lick from Murphy.
I think if Plummer wasn't as strong as she is and goes to ground, that's a free kick to UCF. Certainly the coaching staff wanted the decision to go the way of the Knights.
And just nobody there on the end of the pass.
This feels like, again, UCF need a little bit more patience on the attack. Try and connect on the passes. You see the disappointment from Lawrence as she's trying to force the issue on the outside right channel. Trying to connect with Mernon, but a little bit more patience, connecting some more passes. That will invite Memphis further up the pitch, which will open some space up behind those two good central defenders of Moberg and Hudson-Marks.
Again, both back lines have been disciplined so far for all of the 41 minutes we've witnessed. It would likely take a miscue for us to find an opening goal here before halftime. Mallon with a toss in. Tigers will advance it closer to the midfield stripe. And another opportunity for the Knights will come to an end. Back over to the Tigers for the throw. A precarious situation. Plummer just not quite enough behind that last tap back to her keeper. Vera Varis, of course, staying calm under any kind of pressure. She already has 3 saves in this opening half. That's all she needed against Temple in the full 90 back on Wednesday.
Always like that calming wave of the hands from the goalkeepers. Wonder if they do that in goalkeeper camp as a youngster. When you made the save, just get up, say, hey, I got this, calm down. That little wave, palms down. Vera certainly does have a calm head, and when Plummer mistouched that ball back to her goalkeeper, she knew that Veris was going to be right there. Again, Veris one of the best in the league with her feet.
Final 2 minutes on the first half clock. No shot on frame as of yet from your number 3 seed Knights. Again, they handed Memphis their first conference loss on the year, 2-0 in Memphis. Memphis' only 2 losses in conference against the 2 Florida schools. Trying to repay a favor right here. A little more urgency needed. Finally able to send it in touch there off the boot of Lisi.
And then trying to put some pressure on. Tipton had previously turned the ball over in the attacking half for UCF. Haven't seen the left fullback go forwards very often for the Knights.
Final 60 seconds of this opening half. Of course, the Bulls make their debut this week, later on tonight, the number 1 seed. We've already seen some spottings of head coach Denise Schulte-Brown coming out to scout a potential matchup in Sunday. If they can get past the Pirates tonight, they would collide with the winner of this one. I know the fans here in Tampa are ready to be able to cheer on the home side. Plummer back over to Amon. Final seconds counting down as it looks as though we will be scoreless right where we started after 45 minutes of play of our opening semifinal here in Tampa. The 2 seed and 3 seed still level midway through here on the American Digital Network. We'll step aside when we come back, take a look at some of the more memorable moments of those opening 45 minutes and some of the numbers that stand out. Obviously, the most important numbers, 0-0 in our first semifinal here in the American.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power 6 conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that prove we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power 6 conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination. More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power Six conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Bernie scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a fourth straight year. Quaso from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health.
And promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
Student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives. Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
Profanities or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American, power for life.
The American, power for life.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power Six conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that prove we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power Six conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination. More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power Six conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Bernie scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a fourth straight year. Quaso from 30!
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health.
And promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
Officials,
Student athletes,
Coaches and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big. In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones. Not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power 6 conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that prove we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power 6 conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination. More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Halftime here in Tampa. Lincoln Rose, Matt Stubbington, again, scoreless through the opening 45 minutes of play. You're looking actually at the men's soccer program there for Memphis at the bottom of your screen. They had a match here earlier today that was pushed to noon against USF, with, of course, the women hosting this week's tournament. The men of USF would prevail 2-0. But right now, the Knights and Tigers, the 3-seed and 2-seed, colliding here in Tampa. As we step aside, when we come back, take a look at the updated bracket as well as the opening half highlights here on the American Digital Network.
In just 5 seasons, storied programs have united as a Power 6 conference. We've watched record breakers, All-Americans, and victories that prove we are not only equal to the best, but often better. Can you imagine what's ahead for this Power 6 conference? We can, because the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The American, powered by determination. More than 7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 22 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American, powered by determination.
Bernie scores!
3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30!
unbelievable, and be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
strong in mind, strong in body, strong in school, sport, life.
The grind is 10% physical and 90% mental.
The mind is the power.
The body is a means to jump higher, run faster,
be smarter, and live longer.
There is no weakness when it comes to seeking help.
We are stronger together.
So let's talk about it.
A waterfall starts with one drop.
Change starts with one person.
The American is dedicated to ending the stigma related to mental health
and promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Promoting success through a healthy, powerful mind.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle,
a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
officials,
student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big. In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones. Not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
Our halftime coverage continues here on the American Digital Network. Scoreless midway through. Lincoln Rose, Matt Stubbington with you again. This is one of two semifinals today as UCF, for a fifth time, is a top 3 seed. That's about as consistent as you get in this league. But you talk about consistent play in that first half. Physical, but these Tigers are not backing down. They're looking for their first trip ever into the American final.
It's been a really physical battle. It's been the Tigers getting to the 50-50 balls first, predominantly through the first half. There's been some great opportunities in and around the box for Memphis, and there's been some chances that players like Marie Levasseur and Marissi will think that they should have put into the back of the net, but credit to Vera Ferres for making the saves when she has to and doing a really good job in net for UCF, as I'm sure Tiffany Rotzer-Hayek had some strong words and changing the message a little bit at halftime as both teams come out for the second half.
You look at the big picture here. Obviously, those times have since changed, but the 3 or 2 seed will be moving on. Of course, UCF was in the final last year in Orlando. They won it all back in 2013. But the team that took it last year, USF, in the shootout, finally were able to get that monkey off their back of falling in a couple of shootouts in the finals over the years. Bulls need to get past an ECU team that was able to knock off SMU. First time the Mustangs have made it to a tournament and not at least reached the semifinals. But the Tigers and the Knights both with at least another 45 minutes to go until they know whether or not they will be playing for a title on Sunday. Vera Vars has come through all 3 times she has needed for saves in that first half. We mentioned 13 different goal scorers this year for Memphis. 3 different players produced shots on goal. Talking about Warner, Levasseur, as well as Larissy.
Veras is going to be a huge part of what UCF are doing in the second half, but it's going to be the midfielders for UCF that have to step up big. Memphis, they tend to bypass the midfield. So I think if UCF can get control of the ball on the back lines with Plummer, Amen, Lawrence, Tipton, and then find and connect with those 3 players in the midfield, just draw Memphis up the pitch a little bit. That will open some space for the talented players of Orshman and Sanders. And Sori, I think, is starting the second half for UCF to get forwards and get behind the 2 central defenders of Gauthier and also Hudson Marks, who've played really well so far for the Tigers.
UCF only produced 2 shots, neither on frame in that first half. Moberg did get to introduce herself to the ball on a few occasions, but never anything threatening from the Knights. UCF looking for a quick strike to start the second half. So Memphis has never made it past the semifinals, but trying to ride the advantage of being a 2 seed, getting the Halloween first round off this week.
Don't think they were trick-or-treating, though.
No, these Knights even tuning in to the subsequent matchup between ECU and SMU. We saw Stephanie Sanders as well as some of her teammates, including Quaxa, chiming in the comments section, doing some advanced scouting. Obviously, we have flipped ends as each goalkeeper getting to know their respective 6-yard box. And that will simply be a goal kick for Varis. Varis, of course, already confirmed back-to-back Goalkeeper of the Year awards, but she's still up for a national honor, the Senior Class Award list, as that recognizes the trifecta, the triple threat, in the classroom, on the playing field, and in the community. Significant contributions. Opportunity here. And there's your difference early on. Some miscommunication, a fortunate ball, and guess who? For a second straight night here in Tampa, Kristen Scott.
The flag went up on the far sideline. The referee has waved off the goal. This must have been really close. I don't see how that Scott can be offsides. She was behind the defender.
The only question is where she was when that ball was initially passed her way. But it is still scoreless. You saw the flag go up.
Well, she seemed to be the right side of Lisi when Lisi was going for the ball. And as the ball was in the air, so I have to say that Scott was probably really close to being onside.
Not sure if we'll have another look. Again, the critical moment is where her positioning was when that ball was initially off the foot of her teammate passing it to her, as opposed to where she was when it landed. But right now, play continues.
It was a calm finish through the wickets of Moberg. I'll take another look. As the ball comes over, Scott is just out of the picture, but for my money, she was in an onside position.
And no hesitation with that flag across the way.
Oh, somebody to our left just yelled out that was a terrible call. And it may well have been, but it doesn't matter to Memphis. They still stay with a 0 on their side of the score ledger right now.
Remember, Scott was the beneficiary of a very close call for her first goal against Temple. And that time, perhaps, everything evening out. This time to the fortune of Memphis, whereas Wednesday was at the expense of Temple.
That'll be a bit of a shot in the arm, though, for UCF, because they struggled in the first 45 minutes to really get on terms consistently with Memphis. So that long diagonal ball that we've seen so often from UCF in this tournament be successful. Was successful again, almost, except for Scott being called offside.
Gauthier was able to hold off Scott there a moment ago. Again, the freshman is coming off a brace on Wednesday. The first of the two proved to be the game winner in the shutout. And Sanders still being frustrated by Hudson Marks.
Sanders just needs to be a little bit quicker off of the defender. Maybe throw the shoulder into Marks, force Marks onto her heels, and then that'll give Sanders enough space to come back and receive the pass to feet.
Dolan, the first team all-conference midfielder, sends it up ahead, and Lawrence comes through. Ultimately, nothing more than a toss here for the Tigers.
Great defensive play. You see the effect of the rain on the surface. Lawrence getting a little bit more slide on her back than she might otherwise have done.
Sent in. And Varis, with a couple of fellow Knights in the area, able to smother it. Again, the first of our two semifinals. We've already seen signs of the Bulls and the Pirates here at Corbett Stadium. patiently awaiting their opportunity. Had we not had the storm, they would be taking the field pretty soon to start their warm-ups. But we are just now underway with the start of the second half. And while we've had a downpour of rain, minimal shots allowed by either defense.
I like that play from Hudson Marks there. She's trying to control the ball, trying to find a way to turn the ball up the pitch, but then is in the right position to just shepherd it out for the throw-in. And that will be another throw-in as the ball ricochets off of the corner flag.
Lawrence, a little uphill run. Unique contour in touch. Burst of speed from Boychuk. Trying to split a pair of defenders and put it on the boot of Laracy. She'll now come on to pressure the keeper. Freshman able to turn. Mentioned Kanya Plummer helped captain the women's national team for Jamaica. That forced her to miss significant time during the college season here. And we had a couple of heads collide. That prompts this stoppage in play.
A grimace on the face of Hudson Marks. Sanders acknowledging that her bell has been well and truly rung as well. Hopefully both players are okay. They seem to be. Just looking on the back line of UCF, and number 14, Matilda Kak, is in the game. Amen is not. As we take another look at that clash of heads. All played back on the drop ball.
Yeah, I think Sanders sees that as a little insult to injury. Not only did she not get the foul call, but she has to give it right back over to the opposing keeper. She would like to send a ball Moberg's way in a much different fashion. Well, again, the numbers so far, 6 shots to 2 in favor of the Tigers, 3 of them on frame from Memphis. UCF has yet to test Moberg, and of the 6 corners, 4 of them belonging to the number 2 seed Tigers. Obviously, the most important stat right there on your screen, a couple of zeros in the scoring column. And Kanya Plummer having some fun. But they're going to call a handball. They didn't think, no, they are not, pardon me, a throw. They didn't think that ball ever went in touch.
That was close to the line. Plummer needs to make sure that she has a little bit more heads up as far as when she's picking that ball up. And Coach Monahan's right there, so looking along the line. But
ball will stay on this end. 53rd minute wrapping up. Sanders again draped by Hudson Marks. Scott can't get it inside the 18. Finally back from Kowalska. Levasseur with a Tiger making a run to her left. Instead, will have to settle for a throw.
It wasn't a very good pass forwards from Levasseur up into the midriff of Lawrence. Needs to slot that ball through the channel to the left of Lawrence and to the right of Kak.
Levasseur had 2 Tigers to work with there in the opposing 18. Now they'll work one more number in. At the feet of Dolan. And Levasseur trying to win a corner, instead simply a goal kick. And right about now, UCF establishing a 2-goal lead against Temple in the first round on Wednesday. Much easier skating in the second half. We saw a Scott goal called offside as we remain scoreless. Plummer, you see her shifting into the extra gear.
It feels like Plummer has got one of those new modern gearboxes with 10 or 11 gears to shift through.
She made the gesture with her arm as if she was working through the standard transmission.
UCF, their second half so far, are a little bit quicker to the ball than they were in the first 45 minutes. Something that had to be adjusted by the Knights if they were going to continue to compete in this match. They had to match the intensity that the Tigers have brought to the table.
And it's a UCF program that's been to the NCAA tournament 21 times, including that national runner-up showing back in 1982. But they are trying to build it on a 10-win campaign. That 10th win just arriving back on Wednesday. Couple of options here. Losing her footing, just trying to put it on the boots of Laracy. And nothing doing when it's all said and done. We may have seen the surface factor in there on the attack for the Tigers.
Laracy is indicating that her shirt was tugged as she goes into the penalty box. Frustrated with that. Tipton with all kinds of attention, trying to force the errant shot from the forward from Memphis, and did just enough to make that an easy save for the goalkeeper. But there was acres of space on that left wing for Levasseur to be found, but her teammates never found her, never looked.
Tipton, kind of a silent captain. We don't talk about much on that back line, but just goes about her job. She was, with her effort this year, named a starter late in the process after they had already named captains, but they actually named her as a late captain in the process as well. She's somebody who's patiently waited behind a 3- and 4-year starter out there on that back line. This year was finally her turn to step up.
One of those types of players as a coach that you hope for. You have the star players that obviously you need to move yourself to the next level, but players like Tipton, they're the foundation of your team.
Memphis looking for that goal that has eluded them in their 2 meetings with UCF this year. Into some space with Boychuk. And she ran into the conundrum named Kanya Plummer.
A couple of huge strides into that tackle from Plummer, making sure that she was there quickly enough to make the sliding effort to get this ball out. Big challenge there. The physicality in this match continues.
Plummer at 5'8", that long stride, just able to poke that ball first. Not quite an hour complete between these two sides. Vargas continues to fulfill her obligations back there between the posts. Knights have yet to officially post their first shot on frame. There was that one miscue by Moberg, but again, wiped away. Right now, Vargas is about 25 yards off her line. Plummer and Tipton not on the same page there for a moment, but they'll recover. Out the middle, Orshman. Looking for Lawrence. They'll continue. Warner telling her teammates, make a run. And at the moment, Tipton will buy time for the rest of the night's numbers to get back defensively. As we wrap up with the 60th minute here in Tampa.
Pace of this game just keeps building and building. There's no rest from either team. Helter-skelter in the middle of the park. Memphis doing a great job defending with 5 and getting forwards with the remaining 5 of the outfield players.
Lincoln Rose, Matt Stubbington with you. Our first of 2 semifinals here in the American Women's Soccer Championship in Tampa today on the American Digital Network. Big tip of the hat to our entire ADN crew. Again, they were out there battling the conditions prior to this start. A couple lightning strikes nearby. Throwing a few obstacles in their way. As we see the return now of Madison Mernon, sophomore out of Jacksonville. Back in the midfield these days after battling through a sprained ankle, and she comes on in the place of one of your sophomore standouts this year, second team all-conference in Dina Orschmann, who gets the breather. And Orschmann and Sanders this year played for Germany in the U20 Women's World Cup. So they and Plummer both took some time away from being Knights through a critical stretch midway through the season. Certainly understandable.
An interesting season for women's college soccer as teams try and qualify for the World Cup in France next year, with players like Plummer stepping away, and then the under-20s as well.
Levasseur.
This is one of those things, if you do insist on recruiting these world-class players, it's something you have to put up with as a coach. But then you have to have the depth about the squad to fill in the absence.
We saw one of our 2 first-round matchups go to extra time as ECU was able to find an equalizer in the second half against SMU. Levasseur across, but nobody there to play with, but struggling with the clearance. A second bite at the apple. And Plummer will send it back out. Oh, the Tigers a couple of chances. This one curving one.
And the right fullback for UCF is taking some chances. Lawrence is going forwards a little bit further, trying to get into the attack, and that's opening some space for Marie Levasseur on the left flank for Memphis. On that occasion, she was found. The ball across the 6 was absolutely delicious, but there was nobody there for Memphis to finish the dinner.
A precarious moment there for Vera Varis back in her frame. Not much she could have done to intervene until that ball finally came her way. The Tigers again peppering this defense and midfield of UCF. 7 shots so far. None from the last trip down.
Look at the last time these 2 teams met. It was 15 and 14 shots apiece.
Well, that's twice as many as Memphis usually concedes in a single match. They're making up for it here tonight.
And 7 of the shots for UCF were on target. Only 2 for the Tigers, so they're having a much more accurate night tonight, the Tigers. But so far the shots, while they've been on target, they've been straight at the goalkeeper, Veras.
Hudson Marks, they'll say fouled by Sanders as they get tangled up.
Hudson Marks doing a really good job of getting goal side and a tangle of legs. I see why Sanders feels a little hard done by, but you can also see why the referee blew the whistle.
A driving kick. The offering reaches all the way to the opposing keeper in Vera Varis. Not cheated on that delivery, just nobody there.
It was a teasing ball in, but you can see how that ball skips off the wet surface as it goes into the arms of Veras. Almost seemed to accelerate off of the turf rather than checking up as it may ordinarily have done. on a dry day.
Yeah, you don't mind sending a few extra balls in there, just hoping to force a little chaos with the conditions helping you out. And the foul that sends Tipton down to the pitch will win an opportunity for UCF straight away.
This is really good refereeing from Mr. Ribeiro. Saw the foul that sent Tipton to the turf. The ball went out wide right to Mernin, and then the referee just carefully watching the play. Here's the foul coming across the back of Tipton.
That from Serena Dolan, the guilty party that time. Well, let's see what Lawrence has in mind here straight away.
This is within her wheelhouse, as powerful as that right leg is.
Maybe 35 yards out. Lawrence delivers, and it'll never die down in front of that crossbar. No need to intervene from Moberg. Simply a goal kick here for 0-0 for the Tigers.
Well, not as powerfully struck as Lawrence is capable of. Just trying to float this in. Challenge the goalkeeper up high. See that little bit of backspin on the ball that kept the ball floating over the crossbar. And the goalkeeper wasn't sure for a moment.
Knights have numbers. And the first one to fall on this one is Mathilde Cac. Another one of your freshmen from France. UCF had a lot of turnover this year. 11 newcomers, 7 freshmen from here in Florida, and a couple of late additions, freshmen out of France. And yet here the Knights are still in the championship conversation, along with Memphis, your number 2 seed. Memphis easily could have remained just your 3 seed, but a comeback victory against Tulsa. 6 second-half goals against the Golden Hurricane after trailing 1-0 early on.
That's one heck of a comeback and a statement win to end the season.
Sydney Brown, Zandy Saray back in for UCF. Brown, the freshman from here in Florida, from Winter Park, makes her 10th appearance.
Substitution for Memphis. Coming off the Tigers, number 8, Lisa Pachursky. And coming off the Knights, number 13.
Lisa Pachursky getting a breather now for the Tigers coming out.
And number 19, Sandy Supreme.
Well, for the most part, rain has subsided. This field able to handle the pouring rain quite well before the match. Draining well. Pachursky trying to put it on her left boot. Knights not giving her any window. Lays it out, and that one will go wide as she was looking to link up with Serena Dolan.
Mr. Rivero indicates that took a deflection and is out for a corner kick. And the goalkeeper, Veres, was stationary, just watching this one going past her left-hand post. Powerfully struck.
She was a lot calmer than probably I would have been, but she had a good read on that one. Knights not in the clear just yet. Another corner for the Tigers. Strike point blank. Levasseur with a subsequent shot, but Catherine shut down.
Been really impressed with the serves on both teams for the set pieces, putting the ball in the mix. Memphis a couple of times have had those goalmouth scrambles that they haven't been able to find a clean shot on goal. UCF keeping the concentration when they need to clear the danger.
Pressure continues for the Tigers. And denied point blank by Cac.
And Pachursky going to her left. Maybe had the opportunity to bring the ball to the right and have a shot with the right foot instead.
Tigers have produced 3 shots now in the past minute or so. But that'll be their last touch for the moment, as it's back over to the women from Orlando. A game of inches, literally. We saw a goal wiped away from an offside flag raised. Little miscue for the Tigers back line, not made to pay when it's all said and done, keeping us scoreless so far. Levasseur is making a lot of balls, 50-50 balls that otherwise would be uncontested by a lot of lesser players.
Appreciation from the bench, and well they might. That was a fantastic effort from Levasseur. The sort of thing that just builds the momentum for your team, the confidence for your team. Lead by example, and Levasseur has certainly done that tonight.
'71st minute underway. This year it's UCF the 3 seed, Memphis the 2 seed.
The referee's having a wardrobe malfunction out there with his armband.
Already noted, no communications equipment for our officials tonight. Likely an electrical surge. Sanders looking for a surge of her own from 18, and the first shot on frame comes from the familiar source, the German, but shut down by one of your top keepers in the nation this year, Elizabeth Moberg.
Easy save from Moberg. She won't like these shots, though, from the top of the 18 from Sanders. Hudson Marks wasn't close enough to deny the effort from the German.
And Moberg this year, second in the country, 11 clean sheets. Hoping to make it a dozen by the end of tonight. Now, that would not guarantee them a berth into Sunday's final. They need to either find a goal, do the Tigers, or at least be able to prevail after a draw and a shootout for their first ever berth into the American Championship final. Tigers will bring on Samantha Murphy, the sophomore from Aurora, Ontario, Canada. This is a young lady, just 1 goal last year, and now a year later, 11 goals, 4 game winners. Talk about someone who has helped elevate their game. You need a lot of such student athletes for the strides that Memphis has taken this year. Coming off last year when they just had 1 conference victory, this year they go 7-2. Again, their losses to USF and UCF. But they've shut down these Knights so far today. Tigers have had the better go of it through the first 70-plus minutes. Just a few moments ago, UCF producing its first shot on goal officially. But Moberg was there. That time some pressure from Samantha Chung. Samantha, who started her career as a Florida Gator, transferring over here to the Knights. Tigers, even numbers, pushing forward. Plummer denies the entry pass. They were looking to dial up Murphy. He also had Levasseur out on the wing.
Physicality continues. Chesky getting upended here. Challenge coming in from Sorry.
Lacey will have the service. Takes a hop in front of the 6. And the Knights able to answer, sending it right back to Cinder.
Plummer's a little hobbled after that. She did really well to get that ball out. Again, it wasn't the best of services, but any of those balls coming in with a bit of pace accelerate off of the wet turf. And somehow, some way, Plummer stopped that one getting through to Veris.
One starter in for another. Tanya Boydchuk back on for that front line of attack for Memphis in place of Elizabeth Warner, the senior.
Another free kick, and it's about the same neck of the woods. UCF need to stop making the silly decisions and silly challenges in their defensive third.
You see that temporary structure off in the background. That used to be a dressing room, a tent, but it was torn apart during that storm. This ball will not get past Vera Varis, and she instructs her back line where she needs them here. Tigers just hoping eventually one of these balls they send in will take a bounce in their favor.
It's the right ball played in. Bending, right-footed effort from Lisi across the face of the goalkeeper. Just needed somebody in a blue shirt to be running across the face of Veris to make the save difficult. But again, good concentration from the goalkeeper for UCF.
Memphis again continuing to apply pressure. Can the Knights continue to find answers? At the moment, yes. Two on two. Sanders still on it. Murden. And Sanders just couldn't get a good pass back her way.
Great defensive effort, though, from the forward for the Knights. Managed to get Hudson Marks and Gauthier on their heels. Misplayed for the first time in this game, really, by those two central defenders. Sanders wasn't able to find the scoring effort, the shooting effort that she wanted.
Just two Tigers forward. And Knights with the numbers advantage. Send it back up to midfield to Catherine Levasseur. I'll be surprised if Vera Varis has much of a voice after tonight. She has had to keep that back line organized. With all the pressure Memphis has been able to apply tonight. 12 shots from the Tigers, forcing Varis into 5 saves already.
Substitutions for
Orshman and Tipton back on for UCF and head coach Tiffany Roberts-Zahedek. They'll come on for Sydney Brown as well as Samantha Chung.
Interested to see where or how UCF line up now with Chung out, Orshman on. So Sori is coming back into the midfield for the Knights. Tiffany Roberts-Zahedek certainly doesn't want to make any tactical changes as far as throwing players forwards with a 0-0 tie. It's not chasing the game and have the players and the skill out there to get the job done with the lineup she has.
In Lincoln Rose, Matt Stubbington with you this week here on the American Digital Network. Haley Outen will join us upon the conclusion of this broadcast, a chance to hear from the winners. Whether that be the Tigers, the Knights, whether that be after 90 minutes or 110 minutes. Great to have you with us for this live coverage in Tampa. Remember, This is just the appetizer. We've got the entree still coming as well. Not that the entree is going to be any better than the appetizer, but two great matchups today. All four top teams in the standings reaching the semifinals. Thanks to the success from UCF as well as ECU back on Wednesday in their respective first-round matches. And if Memphis was any fresher than UCF coming into today, I think at this point, everybody's taking their bumps and bruises.
Yeah, it's been so competitive between the two teams. Memphis playing with an up-tempo game, giving UCF no time to rest on the ball.
Lacey, 2 hops before it finds a Knight. It'll never touch a Tiger. Well, Memphis is giving themselves chances. They might be frustrated that they're empty-handed so far. They really just have not given the Knights any opportunities this evening to take that opening advantage.
Pressure continues in the attacking third for the Tigers. And hats off to the Memphis team. They just, right from the opening kickoff, the energy has been high. The commitment to win the 50-50 ball.
Back post. That could be your difference maker in the semifinals. Marie Levasseur on the back post, able to get it past your 2-time goalkeeper of the year in Vera Varis. Memphis strikes first with fewer than 10 minutes to spare.
They've had so many chances in the box, but as I was just saying, they've been so committed to the 50-50 ball. Varys gambled. Tipton wasn't really in the picture. Needs to challenge on the header. And a well-judged, concentrated header from the senior. That was a brilliant finish from Levasseur.
The 13th shot of the night for Memphis. Their 6th shot on goal proves to be the first one to cross the opponent's line. Stacia Mullen with the assist, the junior, her 8th on the year. Some familiar names, some standouts, appropriately factoring in here late. And the Knights, again, a rare shot here down the stretch.
Well, both teams had to weather a storm before kickoff. And we know that the goalkeeper Moberg and the rest of the Memphis Tigers will be weathering a storm for the remaining 8.5 minutes of this match. Plummer is going forwards for the Knights. Amin's back in the game. Tiffany Roberts-Haydak goes with 3 defenders.
Again, a capable offense for UCF here in the final 8 minutes, but Tigers have been able to match them and keep them fairly quiet. And Memphis would not mind giving Moberg some insurance. As difficult as it is to get one past Moberg with her 11 clean sheets, to think that you're going to find multiple goals against her, nearly impossible. The Knights were able to do it in Memphis earlier this year, but tonight's been a different story.
Well, the swarming defense and commitment on defense of those 50-50 balls makes it so difficult for any opposition to get clean chances against the Tigers.
Mentioned UCF was in the final last year. Their 2 trips to the finals in the conference tournament each time has been as the #1 seed. This year they were asked to do it as the 3 seed. Albeit a short trip down Interstate 4 on their rivals' turf here at USF. And right now that clock is the 12th Tiger. And they will happily watch it melt away in the corner. And a foul on Mernon will keep it here with Memphis.
Sully from Mernon, hands up in the challenge. That's an easy call for the assistant on this near sideline.
Well, right now, your difference maker. 6th goal in the year for Marie Levasseur. You see Boychuk more than happy to camp out in that corner. Knights mindful they just need one to prolong this matchup. And now the Knights, they're not making a personnel change, but a role change for Kanya Plummer. She will play forward for the rest of this match. That's a moot point right now as Memphis will have this ball. And they're in no hurry to address it. Inside 6 minutes. So Sanders and Plummer both at the top for UCF. Plummer in traffic. And realizes even she will not be able to get to that one in time. And Moberg is going to, well, she's actually going to play that with that ball. I thought she might opt for a newer model.
Well, it takes her a little bit longer to get back to the 6-yard box after picking that one up. So Ribeiro comes over and says, okay, Miss Moberg, you've got to get the ball in play quicker.
We might see some subs down the stretch here.
You think?
That's about the pace you're going to see at best.
Might be the slowest that you've seen the Memphis Tigers move tonight.
Even making sure, are you sure I'm the one? All right. As Warner back in. Marie Levasseur, right now, her goal, holding up is the difference. That's one more goal than the Tigers managed at home against these Knights. They'll have to go to Orlando next year in the regular season. Levasseur, who has fought for every ball this evening. The Canadian and the German tangling up. A little over 4 minutes for a comeback for the number 3 seed. And this is gravy right now for Memphis. Still playable. As Laracy, we'll see if she makes the throw or finds a more suited teammate.
There will be no rush. Werner trotting over to take the throw-in. Laracy will certainly pass on the honors of the throw-in.
How many times at this point has Vera Varis replayed in her own mind that ball going through her fingertips and becoming available for the 5'8" striker as the noggin of Levasseur were able to send it home.
Varis gambled, never got, well, she did get close to it, but not close enough. And just great concentration to finish the effort from Levasseur.
She'll unleash her right leg into this one. Plummer. And a foul on Plummer will put an end to this threat.
He's a special athlete, as Plummer. She charges into this. That's a huge collision. And an easy call for the referee. For Memphis to get the free kick.
Well, with as much as UCF lost this offseason, this is certainly a successful campaign for the Knights, but with as many young players, including this sophomore class that stepped up for them, I know they started to build expectations once again here towards the postseason. But Memphis, who started off like gangbusters in conference play, then had the hiccup against the 2 Florida schools. This will be a confident squad going into Sunday if they can hang on here. Just 2 teams beat them, and Memphis may have a chance to avenge both those losses here in Tampa. That'll be up to USF and ECU on the other side of the bracket.
Right now, Memphis have to make sure that they manage the remainder of this match. As UCF throw players forwards, Tigers have to make sure they make no silly errors, no silly choices. And then when you have moments like that where you win a cheap free kick in your attacking third, it makes life a lot easier for Memphis to run some clock.
Laracy. Again, they're no longer eyeing the opposing goalkeeper in that frame. They're looking for that corner flag. Final 70 seconds as the rain continues to fall here in Tampa. But for Memphis, they couldn't think of a more beautiful environment right about now. They're 60 seconds away from making their first trip into the American Championship Final. Plummer among 3 Tigers, including one who's been brilliant tonight, and Chanel Hudson-Marks. She had been matched up with Sanders a lot of this evening. Half a minute for an equalizer. A corner kick coming up for UCF. Tigers not in that final just yet, and Vera Varis will join the fray in the final third. 10 and it will never have a chance. Final seconds counting down before the Tigers, with a 12th clean sheet this year by Moberg in that back line, punch their first ever ticket into the American Championship Final. Tigers in action next on Sunday on ESPNU.
A wonderful performance from Memphis. They came in with a game plan, and they made that game plan work. It was all about swarming defense, winning the 50-50 ball, and putting UCF under pressure all over the pitch, never letting the Knights rest for a moment. Had plenty of chances through the game. Wasn't able to beat Veris, but that one final ball that came in, floated in. Veris gambled. It drifts over her fingertips, and Levisser, she was right there, composed to deflect it into the back of the net with a softly catchy monkey header. It was beautifully done by the number 7.
The senior Marie Levasseur with your game winner, her 4th on the year, to go with her 6th goal on her senior campaign. A beautiful delivery from Stacia Mullen gives her 8th assist to set up the game winner. The Tigers march on to their first ever final. We're not done just yet here on the American Digital Network with this one. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will hear from the victorious head coach, Brooks Monahan, leading his alma mater. Now 1 result away from that automatic bid in the NCAA tournament. And I have a feeling we'll get to hear from a student athlete as well. We're back with Haley Outen when our coverage continues here on the American Digital Network right after this break.
Scores 3 strikeouts in a row.
Dominance for a 4th straight year.
Hueso from 30.
Unbelievable. And be able to celebrate this type of championship.
There's the record breaker. They are the champions of the American.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle, a big save, a clutch hit,
or a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
There is power in the sportsmanship that is displayed across the American.
Power is respecting opponents,
officials,
student athletes,
coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions while at the game.
The American.
Power for life.
The American. Power for life.
The American.
Power for life.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. In a city known for doing things our way, there's a university that's driven to do the same, to blur the outdated line between academic pursuits and active ones, not just to learn, but to experience, to create, solve, build, to explore and express, to lead. Because an education isn't something you get, it's something you do.
Now joined by Memphis head coach Brooks Monaghan and forward Marie Levasseur. Coach, we'll start with you. That service from Stasia Mallon went into the box and Marie was able to get her head on the end of it. How well executed was that goal?
That's fantastic. Stasia's been doing that all day, and we talked to Marie about pinching in a little bit more. She listened, and what do you know? She scored. So it was fantastic.
UCF was one of the few teams that your team lost to in the regular season. What was different today?
Oh, I think we had the energy, man. Last game, we played 45 minutes. We didn't play a full 90. Today, we played a full 90. And, we tweaked our system a little bit, threw it on the girls last minute. They did a great job with it. And, listen, I mean, you saw the game. We had a lot of other chances, but all it takes is one.
The weather, certainly not ideal, but how much grit and toughness was your team able to show here tonight?
I think they showed a tremendous amount, and that's what it was going to take. It comes down in these games, the little fine details and who wants it more. And I think that maybe tonight we wanted a little bit more.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the final. Marie, clutch goal rather at the end to win this one for your team. When you saw that service come into the box, the goalkeeper, Vera Varas, able to get her fingers on it, but you finished out that run. Explain your timing on that goal.
I just tried to, I was not looking at the goalkeeper, I just focused on the ball, and I probably had my eyes closed. I just was following the trajectory, and that's it, yeah.
Having to wait a couple of extra days to join tournament action, what was that anticipation like to finally get out here and play tonight?
I think everyone was really, really excited. We saw the energy that we had. I think it came up to who wanted more, and I think we had more energy tonight, and we played a full 90 minutes. I think the energy made it easier for us. I'm pretty proud of everyone.
How much did losing to UCF in the regular season on your home turf motivate your team in today's game?
It's for sure hard to lose on their home field. I feel like today, home or not home, I feel it's about this revenge that we had. We all wanted to do our best, and our goal is to win the championship. So I think we came out with the right mentality.
Thank you, Marie. Good luck in the final.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for bearing with us during today's broadcast and some of the difficulties we experienced. Stick around for the second semifinal here tonight at Corbett Stadium.